number. So I think you got to have these two things really learned well. The facts about simple signatures and the facts about compound signatures. You got to be able to sort those out in order to answer this table. Okay, moving across the page, if we had time in our class hour, I would have you complete letter B up here at the top of 35. I assume you can see that. I'll slide it around here maybe if that helps. Yeah, here what you have is measures that are incomplete. You have to add rests to the end of the measure to give us a complete measure. Now our first measure here is in 2/4. So I'm looking for 2 quarter notes worth of time, 2 beats and their quarter notes. So I'm going to do a little math. I'm going to combine these 2 16ths. I know that makes 1/8. Here's another 1/8. All right, so I combine those 2 8s, and I know I have at least 1 quarter note so far in that bar. Then I have an 1/8 note and an 1/8 rest. Okay, so that 1/8, or not 1/8 rest, an 1/8 note and a dot. Well, that dot is equal to a 16th, all right, worth of time. So I have an 1/8 and a 16th. Well, those don't combine to make a quarter note. I'm a 16th note short because that dot is only equal to a 16th. So I need one more 16th note, which then if I combine those two, I get an 1/8. If I bring the other 1/8 up, I have another 1/8. I combine those two and I get a quarter. So there's 1 and 2. So my solution is to bring that 1/8 or the 16th note down and make a 16th note rest, which looks like that. It's got 2 flags to the side of it. That's how much time is missing from this example to completely fill up a measure of 2/4. So there is a bit of math that you have to do. You've got to combine things and squeeze things together, if you will, in order to do the accounting to make sure you completely fill up the time. On number 2, I'm supposed to have a measure of 9/16. So I need 9/16 notes worth of time. All right, I've got 2 right here. These are both 16ths. My dot is a 16th because it's half that. So here I got 3 of them already. There's another 8, so that's 2 more. 4, 5. I can beam those together, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 32nds makes a 16th. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing 3 16th notes worth of rests to fill out that bar. Okay, so there's a number of ways you could notate it. You could say, all right, I'm missing, there's 2, and then here's my 3rd. I could do it that way. Or I could say, all right, I'm missing 3 16th notes. I'll just do 3 of these guys like this. 3 16th rests. So there's a couple different ways you can answer that question. All right, so that's the way you play this game. You have to combine note values and come up with a full measure to fill out the time signature. Then in letter C, I could give you a couple of these. I could say, provide the best time signature for each exercise. In some cases, more than one correct answer would be possible. All right, I'll give you an example. Look at number 2. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes worth of time. So, I mean, there's a couple different ways we could notate this. We could say we have 1 half note and these 2 combine to make another half note. Oh boy, I'm going to call this a measure of 2, 2. And you would be right. Or another person could look at this and say we have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes worth of time. Oh boy, I'm going to call this a measure of 4, 4. And you would be right. Another person would say, or might say, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 eighth notes worth of time in that measure. And you would be right. So you just have to figure out what you have. We have 1, 2 sixteenths here and 4 more here. All right, so we could call this a measure of 6/16. I'm just kind of counting up what I have and coming up with a signature that represents what I have. And then in letter D, this is the dreaded, let's renotate the rhythms so that they look easier to read for the performer. All right, this is a measure of 4/4 time. He says to do it in cut time, but nonetheless, we want this to look like 4/4. And I get that feeling here. I mean, I suppose you could renotate it and make it even a little clearer by doing something like this in the first bar. Remember, I can't change the rhythm, but I could notate my first measure like that. You could definitely see all 4 beats there, although there'd be few people, if any, in our class that would miss that rhythm. Here is where the beat gets a little bit obscured with the way he's beamed these together. I think you got to renotate measure 2 so you can clearly see, beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and beat 4. Now that one was pretty simplistic, but it's the beaming in here that makes this measure look unworkable. So I'm going to accept any reasonable answer here that makes the meter plain to me. Okay, 6/4. Now there's a measure of compound duple. So I'm looking for 2 tuplets in each measure that look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or something like that. Well, I don't get 2 of something as I look at this. It looks like 3 half notes to me. And that is not what the meter 6/4 says. 6/4 says compound duple. So you want to reset this in a way that I get 2 strong beats in each bar. Now you're going to have to get creative. Maybe you could tie 2 quarter notes together to make a half note in here or something. You're going to have to get creative to do this. But you got to ask yourself, what does 6/4 feel like? What kind of meter is that? And so I would accept any answer here that feels like compound duple. Here we have simple quadruple. We know 2s, 3s, and 4s are all simple signatures. All right, so anything that looks like 4/8 notes to the bar or something like that. So, I mean, this is a typical bar of 4/8. You can't do that, of course, with the rhythm that he's giving you here, but maybe with some ties and things, you could come up with something that looks more simplistic than this. All right. And then 9/8, we have compound triple. We expect to see this kind of pulse in 9/8. Ta 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 ta. Yeah, if anything, this looks like simple quadruple here, the way he has it notated. All right, so we have to rethink this and come up with something that will feel like a bar of 9/8. So I'll leave those to you. Here again, these are self-tests. I think you could probably try your hand at it and see what you come up with, and then check the author and see what he does. All right. I'm not going to show you that part. We might do that on the quiz, but the last part is a scale review. We did some of these in class the other day. The 4th scale degree in B flat minor is blank. And you got to come up with that. You have to say, oh, that's E flat. You know that because B flat is a relative of D flat major. And so you got to go to the key of the relative and make sure you're plugging in all the flats and such. Remember also that the the little hat over the number tells you that says scale degree. And then the arrow says on the ascent in the melodic minor scale, B sharp. The seventh scale degree is B sharp on the way up in this melodic minor key. So you have to tell me what key with the seventh scale degree, B sharp. And remember, it's melodic minor. We're to assume melodic minor on the way up. And the way down. So we remember that we're raising 6th and 7th scale degrees. So this is going to be a raised 7th scale degree. B sharp is the raised 7th scale degree in what minor key? And so that's kind of what that indicates. Here on number 12, you see a down arrow by the 7. So he's saying after you hit the top and you come back down, the note is E in this minor key. Well, it would have been E sharp on the way up, and now it's been lowered to just E. So what minor key has E as its 7th scale degree if you don't raise it, is what he's saying there. Okay, my friends. Well, that represents the end of the textbook portion of Chapter 2. This is just a reminder that you will have a quiz on Friday. I do have some homework for you because I know how desperately you need something to do in the dorms. And I think it would behoove us as a class, I'm going to take the book away now. I think it would behoove us as a class to do pages 15 and 16 in the workbook. I don't know if you can see the top there of 15, but here's an exercise to fill in, and this looks something like the quiz. I'm going to give you an incomplete chart like this where you have to work in both directions. All right. In letter B, these are incomplete measures. You have to fill them up with rests. In order to complete a bar of 6/4 time, there's something missing here. You've got to fill it in with rests. And so that's that section. Then on the back page, in letter C, you're providing the best time signature for the rhythms that they give you here. And then in letter D, these are tricky. I know they are, but try your best. Renotate this rhythm that they give you here so that it looks more readable in 4/4. Now remember, you can't change this into 2 half notes. That would be a different rhythm than he gave you here. You can rebeam these. You can, you just have to get creative to figure out how to make it look like simple quadruple. All right. Here is compound triple. Remember what I told you about compound triple? It should look like 3 groups of 3. And that doesn't look like 3 groups of anything right there. So you're going to have to kind of say, all right, what would I do to make this look like 3 groups of 3 to make it look like compound triple and so forth. So that's how this little game is played. I'm not here to collect homework for today. So when you come to class on Friday, I believe you had for Monday, let me see if I remember correctly. I believe you had page 13, where you had to fill in this simple chart, and you had to notate 3 melodies. All right, so I'll collect from you workbook page 13 on Friday, and I will also collect from you workbook pages 15 and 16. Okay? You are free to email me any questions that you might have about today's class, and I see that it took approximately 40 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, that's pretty good. Something to watch on a snow day, or a cold day, that is. All right, folks, have a great day. Oh, Dr. Brown here. Just wanted to say hi. Coming to you from the man cave on Polar Vortex Wednesday.